a lot of people get so confused when they see marketing on somebody's like job title, right?
Yeah, because I feel like marketing gets used as like a catch-all for like 4 or 5 different things.
Absolutely. So it's like I try to do my best as a marketer to like describe my job to people and what marketing is, and like my answers changed over the years, right? But now I feel like it's this thing where I try to kind of hype up so they're entertained by it. So I say, "Oh, I run multi-million-dollar ad campaigns for some of the biggest companies in the world, right? Nationally and across the globe, on any digital screen or any digital platform that you see, and like on their phone." So I think that's a good way to kind of describe it. But that's still niche specific, right? That's niche specific inside of marketing, because marketing is a broad term.
Do you ever have it happen though where you fully describe what you do to somebody and then at the end it's like they still kind of don't get it? Like, I run into that.
Yeah, all the time, absolutely all the time. And it's funny because it's like this philosophy that you want to seem like you're this super genius or smart guy on LinkedIn. You want to put this like real dramatic title that people really don't understand, but then they say there's another philosophy to put something that's super easy so everybody can understand it. So it's like a fine line that I try to run by, that I switched over the years, and it's like it is difficult.
Yeah, and because did you ever see, man, I'm drawing a blank on what the source of it was, but it was like this matrix of like all these different marketing companies under the umbrella of that term marketing. But it's
really?
Like you have like, data processing companies, you have social media platforms, you have sales companies, you have, digital ad buying companies. You have like all of these different companies doing these radically different things. And so, yeah, I remember Steph, she once sent that to me, just to show me like how wide even like the term marketing gets used or the industry is. Yeah, that was fascinating for me.
Absolutely. Yeah, when we first got our marketing jobs, because Richard and I, we started marketing for literally just from the ground up, prior to like no knowledge in marketing, really, besides like a sales marketing position at like, a door knocking service pretty much. So we went from that to going into the agency side, which turned our knowledge completely upside down, right? We learned a shit ton about the marketing world, and how depth it can be. So it's completely understood that, you can describe marketing in so many different ways. That's why people just say, "Oh, I do marketing."
Yeah, and I even remember back then what we were doing. For me, it almost felt like it was the end-all be-all on the digital side. Like, like we make websites, we do Facebook ads, we create content, like, we just do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, once, the more and more I've gotten into the industry, it's like, oh, we were like a creative / ad buying firm. And that's the simple term that fully and accurately describes it.
Yeah, we were 100%. So I want to, I guess, touch on the topic in marketing that is the CMO position, right? The Chief Marketing Officer. They are in like charge of many things. Overseeing many things in marketing. So I want to ask some questions. It's kind of like the same topic that I started off with. It's like, oh, what is marketing? So what kind of qualities do you need to have as like a CMO, or like what do you have to be good at to be a CMO? Because again, you can be specific. You can be good at specific things in marketing, or it can be a CMO, which is kind of like, everything and you kind of deploy and put things together like that. So.
Yeah. I'm not a CMO personally, but, from what I observe at least, I think the foundation you need is a really thorough understanding of marketing as a whole, especially whatever realm in marketing you're working in. Like, for example, if we're doing, social media ads, you have to really understand those platforms and what drives performance. You have to understand tactics, like what you should be doing when, what strategies make sense in what scenarios. That's the foundation. And then once you move higher and higher up the organizational chain, because CMO is about as high as it gets for marketing.
Mm-hmm. Right. I want to be a CMO. What I'm saying? That's like the pinnacle of where you want to get.
And so where I left off at was describing the foundation, which is a thorough understanding of marketing. But as you reach the high position of CMO, and really any corporate officer, you run an entire department. So whether you're a chief marketing officer, you are in charge of the organizational structure of the entire marketing arm of your company. Yeah. Same way if you were a chief financial officer, you're in charge of the entire financial
Absolutely.
arm of the
entire I don't think that's important for you to point out, because there's a lot of times people aren't specialized or qualified to be a CMO because they just don't know certain areas in the marketing field, right?
Yeah.
They can completely miss out on tactics that are just super vital for any campaign to be successful in today's world, because the marketplace is always changing, right? Things are always constantly changing in marketing. So it's important to have all that knowledge, to have, and if you don't know things, that's exactly where you get the team from, right? That's where you start to hire out. You find the agencies or the skilled qualified people like yourself and I, right? The shit that we do, and you deploy them and you make them do the job. Yeah. That's...
And, I think, too, as far as the CMO position specifically, that I can imagine a scenario where someone is a brilliant marketer, but if you don't have the management kind of skills and the understanding of corporate strategy, that probably would impede your progress up the ladder, too.
Yeah, absolutely. So not just having those hard marketing skills, but the people skills to be able to get to that position. Absolutely. So yeah, if you strive to be a CMO, or you want to be successful when you actually lead a company, like, I think that's definitely one of the best skills to have, is the people skills, the ability to put together the team, right? To vet your options. That's almost as important as knowing your marketing abilities, right?
Yeah, and because speaking for myself, I consider myself a little bit of an introvert. And
you? No.
A little bit. So, like, in my personal journey, I remember in younger days kind of wishing there was just this way I could make a ton of money in a room by myself, not having to talk to anybody.
Well, there's that Bored Apes then.
But I feel like one thing I've realized is you really can't, there's a real limit on how much money you can make sheerly without other people. Like, who has money? Other
That's correct.
people. You need to sell a product, you need
correct.
to manage teams. So at some point, regardless if you want to or not, if you want to make real progress, I think you need to learn how to deal with people.
I think that's going to resonate with a lot of people, 100%.
What's your favorite part about marketing? If we're going back to, the very bare basics here, what makes you love what you do?
What makes you love what I do? Well, I can frame that in two different ways. So do you mean love my position, my job that I currently work at, or just marketing as a whole?
I think you could work your way through both, the industry and then your specific job in the industry.
Okay, yes. Well, marketing is a creative outlet for me.
Yeah.
Right? I'm somebody that loves to be creative and use my abilities in life, right? Because I get bored pretty fast. I'm not going to lie. I'm the type of person that will get extremely bored if I'm not doing something. I'll go, like when I was a kid, I'd be outside all the time, playing basketball, doing stuff with my friends, networking, doing things, because I love people and connecting and doing something and being creative as well. I was great at basketball growing up, but I felt like mentally creative as well. Yeah. So to translate that into nowadays, marketing is a broad subject and a broad thing, so you can do many different things inside of it. So I love all the aspects of marketing, right? So like the content creation is wonderful. You could lose yourself in that, or you could lose yourself in how to reach and understand audiences in the marketplace. And that's kind of what I do today, which is figuring out how to reach people and actually achieve goals and main KPIs for businesses and companies through digital platforms. And I love that because it involves a ton of creativity as far as your approach and your research and your philosophy behind marketing. So that's my edge. And I know that's my edge in the marketplace. So that's what I go with and run with now.
Yeah, I think personally for me, what makes me love it is that marketing has a really good blend of like artistic expression, but also like analytical kind of thinking.
Absolutely.
Where like if you're a painter or a musician, it's really just like mostly your job is the artistic expression side of things, where if you're an accountant or a scientist, then it's really more just analytical. But I think what marketing allows is really a blend of those two things. And depending on what area in marketing you get into, you can kind of pick how much of each you want. Yeah.
Well, I'm interested to know, how about yourself? I mean, you just asked me the question. I know that we started a marketing firm kind of together from the beginning, but I don't know what piqued your interest and what I guess made you, fall in love with it, but not maybe in love, but just like it,
You know what? So I think part of it was what I was just describing, that as a good blend of those two things, analytical and artistic. I think the other part is that you can really get a real sense of progress being made. Like, it constantly is like a new journey trying to accomplish new goals for clients. And so you even get a sense of accomplishment out of it too when, a company needed to get their message out to so many people. You come up with a strategy and execute. And then, it was a good campaign at the end of the day and they saw results. So it just constantly stays fresh to me like that. It's not like I'm just doing the same thing over and over. Yeah. It's like constant, even if I'm doing the same things, it's constantly a new experience.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good way to put it as well.
Yeah. I love the relationships I make too, especially, like having clients that I've known, the longer you know a client, it's almost like the better it is. Like,
and you're on the account managing side too, so you deal with you deal with both sides, right? So you deal with the clients, and then you deal with people like me who actually, run the ads in place and do all the research and market and all that stuff.
The backbone.
Exactly, both structures there. So you have a good point of view from it, and I think people need to definitely hear that. So how do you feel about the aspect of like working? And I know the world's changed a lot, obviously, because of COVID. So it's like, everybody now discovered fire. Everybody discovered working from home, right? It's like a caveman discovering fire, at least for me. Well, I was like, this is amazing. They give you this opportunity. This is amazing. In marketing, my job, I could do it from my laptop anywhere. I can literally be driving in my car, pull over on the side of the road, put on my hotspot, connect my Wi-Fi, and marketing and start doing it. You know what I mean? You can do it anywhere. You can do it on the road. So I love that aspect about it. There's always this phrase like, making money from your laptop. So I feel like there's a negative connotation behind it a little bit, but it's still, I love it. So how do you feel about that?
Man, I love it too. I mean, how could you not? Like, I mean, it's basically just like having more freedom. Like, I get to decide even if I want to work at home. Do I want to work at a coffee shop? Do I want to work at Randy's place?
But when my grandma sees me, she doesn't think I'm successful because I'm in my room all day.
Yeah, isn't it like a strange thing though? Because like sometimes if I have like a little hole in my schedule or two throughout the day, I kind of even have this nagging feeling within myself, like man, my girlfriend just probably thinks I spend my, all day.
He probably thinks I'm just a lazy piece of shit.
Right. Like if I didn't have, my earnings to back it up.
I know.
To whatever degree.
I know. For real, the pay stubs.
If I was working minimum wage, it might be a little
right, because you might, that's hilarious.
But too is whenever there's someone I encounter and we get into a discussion where they're not really sure what they want to do career-wise. Marketing's one of the, or even not just marketing, but, something over the computer. Like, I have a friend that got into cybersecurity, anything like that. I try to just tell them, go in that direction. Because at least my personal philosophy is, if you don't know where you want to go, just come up with an idea of somewhere that's better than where you're currently at. Work your way to there and then reevaluate your options then.
Facts.
So,
that's a great idea.
If you have a job you hate and, I just think even if you don't totally know what you want to do at the end of the day, just try to work towards a marketing job now, and you'll at least have something less stressful and more enjoyable.
Right, exactly. Because we stress to do marketing. Like, why not get into marketing? Because number one, it's easy, kind of. Right, it doesn't involve physical.
It's
right?
not rocket science.
Correct. It's not rocket science. It doesn't involve any physical lifting. It's not manual labor. It's actually just using your brain. And if you can get over anxiety and stuff like that, kind of through your day, then it's a good thing to do. But also, there is the aspect where you can be highly skilled and highly paid because of it. So in the future. So I do like that. So that's why I always recommend it to like my young cousins and young brothers and shit. I'm like, yo, just start getting into marketing. When I was like 19, 18, I was doing marketing. Get into that shit. Just buy a laptop. If you don't have a laptop, buy one. You need one anyways, because you do everything on a laptop. You know, so.
do you ever get that, a little bit of that kind of feeling though? Almost like the archetype of like the dad trying to get the son to get into the family business, like come on, man, just do it, you'll
absolutely
love it.
And that's why I try to back off a little bit.
Yeah.
I just say it like a few times and I'll be like, all right, I can't, you know what I'm saying, you can't get through to somebody.
Yeah.
They have to kind of do it themselves, you know, just like you can't make a horse drink water, you can only lead them to it, right? So the same way there. So I do hear that. I feel like that too. I'm like, you know, how would I feel? So that's why I just throw it out there and say, hey, get a laptop anyways, because it's still going to be useful.
Yeah.
You know, like you can do your taxes on it. You could go on Facebook. You could watch TV on it all day long. You could do anything important. Find apartments, you know, everything.
But, you know, I think even what it speaks to is that, like, if we could go back, we'd go back and do the same thing again. Like,
yeah, I would not change. In fact, I would dive deeper and dive harder.
Right.
Well, obviously, right?
Right.
But, yeah, facts.
Basically, just be doing the same thing with more self-assurance.
Sure, absolutely. Like, oh, yeah, I know what the fuck I'm doing in 5 years. I'm being paid. What you laughing at? I don't need no degree. No. Well, in the future, they may require you a degree more, but, you know, just because that's how the world works. But as of right now, when it's still relatively young in the marketing space, in marketing world, especially digital, then you can sneak in without a degree as long as you're highly skilled and you have the experience.
Yeah. So, you know what? I have a few things that I usually say, but what would you say to someone that doesn't have a college degree, wants to get into marketing? What's the best way for them to pick up those skills?
The best way would be to, and I'm gonna make this very practical, so it's easy for people to understand it, to actually take, you know, those steps. First of all, watch YouTube videos on digital marketing, kind of understand the landscape of it and what it entails, right? It's like digital, right? Self-explanatory. Digital devices, connected TV, cell phones, TV. Kind of just learn the broad sum of it, and then go ahead and take some free Google classes. Google ad classes. That's free certifications online. Just look up on Google free ad classes from Google and they'll direct you to it. It's got to be one of the first options on the SERP, right? And do that. And you might not find it the most interesting, but if you do and you kind of want to use your skill, I think you'll like it. And then once you learn how to do that, run some basic Facebook campaign ads. Offer to run somebody's ads for free if they give you $10. You know, just go out there and do it. You know, we started, I cold called businesses and, you know, had them pay prices for me to run their ad. That's how I started and got my feet wet. But actually before that, I used to run my own e-commerce website
Right.
and that I ran Facebook ads for. So that's how I kind of learned doing digital ads. So you just got to start doing, maybe make your own Facebook page, sell some products, run some ads, learn some knowledge. Then you can go to a business and say, hey, I have these credentials. Would you hire me for this position?
Yeah, and you know what? I think the knowledge will go farther than some people think, because when you can demonstrate to someone, especially like right on the spot in a conversation, that you know what you're talking about, that you're familiar with these platforms, you know how to measure success, you know the capabilities, you know, off the top of your head. Like, you don't have to look it up. You already know what you can do on those platforms.
Facts.
I think that you get a certain amount of credibility just from having that alone.
Absolutely.
And then, you know, honestly, the answer you gave is almost the same answer I typically give. You know,
you
just
my magic sauce.
You just want to get experience. You know, like it might be tough for someone in the moment, but it really isn't about the money. It's just about, you know, building the resume, frankly.
Right.
You know?
See, something that it was hard for me to grasp at first and understand until recently when I started making money is that, like, you do not have to make money right away, especially if you're younger, like, you know, 18 through 20, sometimes even 24 for a man, right? You don't have to necessarily focus on making the money, but focus on earning the hard skills, right?
Yeah.
Actually learning the capabilities. And I didn't realize that really because I was so money hungry, obviously, from a young age, because I feel like I came from, you know, from the bottom, a poor background. I always wanted that money, that lifestyle, right? But when I got a little bit older and I started to achieve that, I realized that what was more important was the skills that I learned along the way.
Yeah.
You know, because now I'm skilled as shit. And now I can focus on my money a little bit too, while also understanding the importance of what it means to learn. So.
Yeah, and because it takes a good amount of self-belief, because, you know, when you're not really earning the money you want to be earning, and you're still just putting in that work, developing those hard skills, it's almost like you're building a prototype for something and nobody's bought it yet, but you have to just believe in what you're building up, which is yourself.
The self-belief is unmeasurable, bro. You have to have so much self-belief. It's insane. And there's levels to this shit too, right? Like Meek Millie says. But, like, I love that quote.
Shout out Meek Millie.
Yeah, shout out my boy. But, for real, like, I feel like what separates me from the pack, and you may agree, and you might feel the same way yourself, but I have this, like, undeniable knack that, and I didn't realize until recently that, you know, so I'm more manageable with it, but like I have such a high drive for success and try to become successful in this lifestyle and picture that I have for myself, that automatically I had to have self-belief, because I knew that I was going to be successful one day. So I dove head first into this shit, into marketing, and started just going as hard as I possibly can to fulfill that ideal of myself. So until recently, I didn't realize that. So I'm able to get a better handle on it and say, hey, like, listen, you're going to be successful no matter what. Relax. Focus on getting your knowledge and getting your skill, and everything else will fall in line and everything else will come.
Yeah.
So you definitely got to have that self-belief. Like, the self-belief is undeniable.
Yeah, definitely. You know, and just actually using your time to your advantage, you know, because... You know, I think there's certain people where, you know, they would try to motivate you to, like, work yourself down to a nub. And that's not what I'm advocating. But you don't want to let a time period of your life go by where you haven't worked on yourself, or you haven't, you know, gained any valuable experience or skills. Like, just consistent growth.
Absolutely.
You know?
That's so underestimated in today's society, is consistent growth. The 1% better a day, right?
Yeah.
It's so freaking important. I can't stress it anymore, because like today's society, we're all fast. We want things right away, right?
Yeah.
Even our attention span wants things right away. It's continuing to go down, right? Studies show us, and that is something that goes along with it. People aren't understanding. Every day, if you just do something different, do something simple, you'll become a well-rounded person and can go very far from it.
Yeah, and it's like every day you wake up, you have the option to do the bare minimum, maybe even less.
Yeah, you do.
And versus doing what you actually need to do to stimulate growth.
Yeah.
You know, because if all you do is like just wake up and handle your bare minimum commitments, then, you know, to be honest, that's already in your wheelhouse. Like, you already know, you know, it's super simple to do this, but the growth is when you're stretching yourself to do something that you feel less comfortable in.
Shit, yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.